I've always been fascinated with actors' movie debuts and how they feel when they first make a film. When you look back at Rich and Famous, was that an intimidating thing for you, or was it just like a big blast?
Oh, it was like such a big nightmare. I don't know. I was going, why am I doing this? I had to go to LA. I'd never been on a plane before. We shot something in New York before I had to go to LA, because the movie was shot in New York and LA. And I couldn't remember my lines. It was the middle of the summer. We were pretending it was winter. I couldn't remember my lines. All the extras hated me because they had these huge coats on in 96-degree weather. And get it right, you bitch.
and I was speaking to Tess Harper a few years ago,
Oh.
and she has done something that you did. One of the few people, you appeared in a 3D movie.
Exactly.
And I'm wondering, I know it was a long time ago, but was that
I'm very proud of that film.
Was that kind of a surreal experience to make
Yeah.
a movie like that?
Mexico City in the summer. They had an oxygen tank for us. And then the other funny thing was there were no special effects. It was the director kept saying to us, this movie's in 3D, okay? It was more like conversations in 3D. I don't know why it was in 3D. And he would go, just move forward toward the camera with your arm, so the audience would go, whoa, your arm is coming out. I mean, it was very tragic.
Well,
oh, God.
You know, you've been in some really huge box office hits.
I thought you were going to say bombs just now.
Well, how good have you become at predicting whether a film will be a big hit? Or are you ever surprised that which ones do better than others?
I don't know at all. It's the hardest thing to predict, and there's a lot of math that goes into it apparently, and demographics and this and that, but they still don't know. And so all that it becomes is about the experience, and that's all it ever really is. Even if it does well, it still has nothing to do with you. It's taken on another life, and other people in the world have opinions about something you did with a group of 60 people. It's so weird. But in this case, because we all feel very kind of proprietary about this movie, because we were all very involved in it. Everybody. Larry has a gift of involving everybody who works on it. And I got to the city the other night, and I'm in this car, and the bus passes by, and there's our poster. And I just remember us all in a room talking about the poster and what it should be and blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, there's our poster. I can't believe it. It just seems so amazing that it would be on a bus.
Okay. And one final question. When we talk about the hits you've been in, when Silence of the Lambs came out, I read an article that was a film that you had decided to pass on. And you've been in some big hits, and one of the articles was questioning why you turned it down.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, you must have had your reasons, and I'm just curious, what did you not like that you thought was not right for you with that film?
Well, you know, you hit and miss. You never know what's it's just what appeals to you at the time, and you have a certain reasoning process that goes along when you're, so I never regret really anything, but I felt like it was just so dark of an arena, and I just didn't want to be in that for a few months. I didn't want to just then, and you know what? It probably would not have been a hit if I was in it. You know, it was such a great movie, so.
You know, Meg, I've eaten on a few movie sets, and I've always loved craft services, great food. When you go to France, well, when you go to France, does the food quality go up a notch?
Listen, I got to tell you something. Yes, in general, the food quality, you know, soars, but there is no craft service in France. I was shocked. There was amazing lunch, and they have this thing, this sort of vehicle that expands wherever you go, and you go in for a sit-down lunch. They set the table. They give you wine and chocolate. It's incredible. And decent food, which is a shock as well.
You know, you shoot by some really famous locations in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, the spectators in France, are they a little bit more blasé about a movie company?
They just don't care. In fact, there's a scene in the movie where you know, that Eiffel Tower thing that goes over, and I mean, we just shot out there in the middle of the street. Whoever was there was there. I mean, there was a Steadicam out there. We were out there talking, but there was no crowd control. And this, like, vagabond came up in the middle of the shot and tried to grab that thing. I mean, they could not care less. In fact, when we were doing like the makeup test and everything, I looked at the slate on the thing, and it said E.M. like M, Rayanne, R-A-Y-A-N. Like and Kevin was Mr. Clean. I mean, no one cared. It was great.
Well, there's a great scene with the Eiffel Tower, which involves the lights going off.
Yeah.
Now, I thought that was an optical effect, but how did they coordinate that?
Isn't it amazing? We were all kind of in awe of that. We couldn't believe it, but they were turning it off and on for us. And they did it about 3 or 4 times, I think. And that at night was amazing because there were clouds, and so we had to keep waiting for a break in like the fog. They were low fog. Man, it was a sort of amazing night. That's all we did. It was my birthday, I remember too, and the thing was going off and coming on. It was very magical.